Hello, everyone, and welcome to Be Bold, Fierce, Unstoppable. I'm your host, Zach Lyotis. In today's podcast, we have Barbera Schouten. She's an experienced transformation coach, speaker, and author. She has helped thousands of highly sensitive people, empaths, intuitives, and spiritual entrepreneurs all over the world to embrace and accept themselves fully and connect to their true, authentic self by getting to know their own user manual through and through, discovering their passion and calling, and devising effective energy, stress, and emotional management strategies so they can finally create a life for themselves that makes their heart sing. She has written 4 books and 3 online programs, and she regularly writes blogs on LinkedIn that have helped even more people to come out of the closet. She has her own TV show called HSP, which is Highly Sensitive People, on YouTube, in which she talks about all things HSP, energy, and entrepreneurship related. Welcome, Barbera, to the podcast.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Zach. I've really been looking forward to this.
Such a pleasure to have you. We have so much in common. And I get so excited when I get to talk spirituality and energy with people. It's like my insides, my inner child dances, because when I was growing up, or same probably with you when you're growing up, like to speak about spirituality and energy and stuff like that, people might have looked at you in a weird way.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, you're weird. What are you talking about? What energy, what spirits, what this, what? And so when I have those people come on the show, like yourself, come on the show, I'm like, bring me to my element and allow my inner child to dance and sing, So I just came out of the closet. Like, I've been coming out of the closet slowly for the last 8 years. When I got called to do this work on a deeper level. So literally when I read that in your bio, I'm like, this is the most important time that I get together with Barbera so we could talk about a lot of other light workers out there, empaths and highly sensitive or highly intuitive people, to come out of their closet. So I want to ask you the question, what does it mean to come out of the closet?
Oh, that is a very good question. I, for the longest time, didn't know that I was a highly sensitive person. I just came across it by chance because my boss told me, but you are an HSP because you're exactly like my wife, and you could be 2 pots in a pea. 2 pots in two peas
in a pod.
Exactly. I said it and I thought, no, that's not okay. It's 2 peas in a pot. And I thought, are you calling me a name? I didn't even know what it meant. So I started to look for it. And then I discovered indeed that it stands for highly sensitive person. And I started to read all about it. And for me, that felt like coming home to myself. So I then started writing articles and creating HSP TV. We had my show on YouTube, but also my podcast, 100% Yourself with Barbera, around these topics, so that I could describe what it feels like to be a highly sensitive person, so that people who do not know that they are one, or that don't know what's wrong with them, because I thought there was something wrong with me when I was younger, so that they can start to recognize themselves in it. And I got all these messages on Facebook and on LinkedIn of people saying, oh, because of your articles or because of your videos, I finally came out of the closet. And usually coming out of the closet is a term that was combined with coming out that you're gay, or that you're a lesbian. So to me, that signifies that there's still a lot of shame around it and still a lot of taboo around it. So when people started telling me I came out of the closet, I can now finally tell people I'm a highly sensitive person, that told me that there's also still a big taboo and a big stigma on being called sensitive. There's something about that word that makes people think that they are weak or less than or not good enough, or overly sensitive to stuff, and it's not something that they want to be identified with in normal life. So coming out the closet in this case just means that you are finally ready to acknowledge who you are with everything that comes with it, and you are stopping hiding yourself from the rest of the world, and you're stepping into your power, into your zone of genius, and saying, this is who I am, and I'm not apologizing for it.
I love that. Yeah, it takes courage to come out of that closet. It takes so much courage to come out. I always had my spirit guide say to me, Are you finally going to come out? So I'm like, but I'm out. They're like, oh, no, you're not. You are
This much are
definitely,
you out?
yeah. That's exactly what I say. You're out 1%, 2%. But what happened to the other 98% of you? And I said, oh, I feel sick thinking about that.
Yeah.
So let's talk about, you said something about stepping out of the closet is really about harnessing your power.
Yes.
And I know a lot of people have a misconception when we talk about the power, because we want to think about strength. Could you go down that path of power, is to harness your power?
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's not physical strength. It's not if you can lift a car or if you can only lift a box. That's not what it's about. Stepping into your power means that you stop hiding who you are. That most people, when they are highly sensitive and they don't know it, they tend to want to be someone they are not, because they think other people want them to be that person, or they expect them to be their person, or they think if they act in a certain way that people will like them more, love them more, accept them more, want to be their friend. But that makes them inauthentic. It makes them be someone that they are actually not. And that is not living in your power. That is living basically a lie, an illusion, someone you're not. So that's very disempowering. It's not making you use your talents, see your talents, acknowledge your talents and your gifts and your capacities and those types of things. So stepping into your power means that you are finally acknowledging the person that you were always meant to be, the person that you were born to be. You are looking at your gifts, you're looking at your talents, you are starting to feel proud of the person that you are. You're no longer hiding it behind someone you're not, and you are just being unapologetically you. For me, that is the term stepping into your power, finally stepping into the person that you were always meant to be, with everything that comes with it.
I love it. Stepping into your truth. I keep on hearing that. Stepping into your truth, stepping into your truth. Oh, the hiding yourself from other people. Let's go down that path. I always say remove the veil of the past and step into your present self. Let's talk about what it takes to remove that veil. For a lot of people that want to come out of that closet, but to have that fear of coming out.
Yes. That usually is fueled by that people are afraid that people will not like them, will not accept them. They are afraid that they will end up alone, that everybody will turn away. They are afraid of being judged and found lacking, mostly because being judged and people thinking, oh, you're an amazing person. Most people will not fear that, but they fear being judged and then coming up lacking and being less than. And that is the first step in what you need to do. You need to both get to know yourself really well and see the beautiful person that you are. And that's not comparing yourself to others. No, that's finding what makes you beautiful, what makes you special. I call that discovering your superpowers. And that's a big part in it, but it's also letting go of what other people say and think about you as much as possible, and just thinking, oh, okay, you don't like my hair and you don't like the way I dress. Well, okay, I'm sad to hear that, but it's okay if that's what you want. I like it. That's the most important thing, and be okay with that. Those are some very important things in dropping the veil and stepping into your power.
It's so true. It's easier said than done. And I know for everyone that's listening to this, I know you're going to probably say like, okay, so I'm trying to get to know me. I'm going to step into my power. Then you're going to express to your friends who you are. And slowly your friends might just drip away. Yes. I know this is the process. Was that the process for you? Because I know I was holding on to friendships for dear life. And when I finally let go of friendships is when I felt like, you know what, now you're rebirthed and now you're in fullness. Mm-hmm. So stepping into your power, and this is a normal process for everyone that steps into their spiritual power and finds that self-confidence to remove the veil. You will lose friends along the way, and it's okay, because what you're doing is that you're creating space for new friends with that higher vibrational frequency to come to you. I see this with my clients all the time, and then they'll come like, I feel alone. I'm like, you're not. You're really not alone. There's a whole energy frequency that's coming behind you. But there's this difficulty when it comes to saying, let it go or surrender. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So when we're speaking about let it go, and I remember someone kept on saying to me, Zach, just let it go, just let it go. And I was just being like, what am I letting go of? Like, I don't even know what you want me to let go of.
Hmm.
So it actually triggered me when people would tell me, just let it go.
Hmm. Me
So
too. It
how
makes
would
me
you,
extremely angry sometimes even.
right? And it's just like, what do you guys want me to let it go? And I used to always say, I wish there was me duplicated to tell me what I need to let go, because I tell my clients, let go of this, 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 this. And they're like, perfect. I'm like, now I wish someone could tell me that. So when you're going through that let it go process, how does one go through the process of surrendering or let it go and let God or let universe?
Oh, that's a very, very good question. Uh, there is a lot of misconceptions also about letting it go. For
Mhm.
me, for the longest time, when people told me to let things go, I thought that meant that I needed to say, oh, it's okay what you did. Well, for me, it was never okay what they did. And by letting it go, I felt like I needed to say, well, okay, it's okay what you did, but it's not okay. So I couldn't let go. And I didn't understand that you don't let go in order to be okay with the person or be okay, that what they did is okay. Letting go is about you no longer wanting to be trapped in negative energy or wanting to be no longer be trapped in negative energies. So letting go for me is releasing myself from the burden of the past because I don't want to be weighed down by it anymore because I want to vibrate on a higher level. And in order to get there, I need to let go of low vibration emotions and low vibration energies. So letting go for me is like a sort of cleansing ritual that allows me to step into who I really am and start vibrating on the frequency of love, for instance, or faith or compassion. So the higher vibrating frequencies. So that's the letting go part, but surrendering to me is something different. And I think that that is more what you're actually meaning with your question. Surrendering is that you stop fighting what is happening.
Mhm.
And I used to fight everything that happened to me because as a highly sensitive person, we have this huge thing for injustice. And when people treated me like crap, that felt just unjust, or that you were harmed, and then you want to fight it. Or when you get a ticket for parking in the wrong place, but the parking meter was broken, and you couldn't even buy a ticket, but then you get a fine. That was also something unjust, and then you would fight the ticket. But surrendering is more like choosing where to place your energy, also getting really clear on what is really important to you, and then just deciding on a conscious level, okay, this is not worth my energy. I got a ticket, but it's only 10 euros. I could fight it, but the amount of stress that will cause me, the amount of low vibrating emotions that are combined with it, and the energy you send out is the energy you attract. So the more you spend time on anger, frustration, worry, doubts, and those types of things, the more of that you will attract. And if you consciously knew that, you wouldn't be doing it because you don't want more of that, right? You don't want more anger or sadness or grief or worry. Nobody in their right mind would choose that. So
Yeah,
surrendering
right.
and letting go is cleaning your energy and just realizing that some things are just not worth it. And also surrendering to emotions that come. As highly sensitive people, we have both our own emotions and our own energies, but we can also
Mhm.
take over other people's energies and other people's
Yes.
emotions. So
Yes.
we have like this double layer of energy and emotions that we have to deal with, and that can be totally exhausting.
Mhm.
So it's very important, for instance, to distinguish, is this my energy, is this my emotion, or somebody else's?
Mhm.
Because if it's somebody else's, then you can immediately think, okay, then I'm going to let it go because I cannot do anything with it. And I surrender to how I am feeling, and then it will leave.
Mhm.
And I can let it go.
Absolutely. I love that answer. I look at letting go and surrendering as the same. So I like that you broke it up, because to me, it's like let go of whatever you're holding on to and surrender to the thoughts and emotions that come with it too. So it's almost, maybe I do look at it in different ways, but I look at it both at the same aspect. And it's interesting because you said when you talked at the top of this, it was almost like, letting go where you're trapped in a box. Because my hand just literally drew a box on my paper and it said trap in box. So if
Yes.
you're trapped in this box of what you think you should be like, or how other people represent you or think about you, because that's what I was in that virus. That was my box virus. Well, my mom wants me to do this and people think I'm crazy. So I'm going to stay in this box that doesn't serve me, because if I come out of the box, then it doesn't feel right. But at the same time, it's going through that process of fully letting go and fully surrendering. And one thing that I liked what you said is the highly sensitive people. I could imagine what you went through last year in 2020 with everything, because I was sometimes flat out on my couch, I was gonna say, and I was bawling my eyes out, and I was like, I know this doesn't belong to me, because I'm not feeling this sad. I'm not feeling this emotional uproar in my body. And
Yes.
so my line always was, universe, who does this belong to that's not mine? I know it's not mine. And if it's mine, we need to clear it right away. And it was like, no, it's the collective that you're actually feeling right now.
Yes. Yes, to me, it was extremely difficult because where I live, people live really close together. So I have neighbors on both sides directly, but I also have two neighbors on top of me. I have neighbors on that side and I have neighbors on that side. So I'm surrounded by neighbors, and all of a sudden everybody was home and everybody was anxious and everybody was worried. And it felt like I was suffocating under all their energies and all their emotions. So I couldn't do anything in my business at that time. I just felt paralyzed by the weight of the world and their emotion and energies, and then especially your direct world. So I started walking. I think in the first half year that COVID hit, I walked from the Netherlands to Sicily in distance. Not literally, but in distance.
No, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, and people would ask me, oh, your cats will be happy that you're home, right? Because I have cats. And I said, well, no, they're actually seeing less and less of me. And they were like, yeah, but how come? Because everybody is home with COVID. I said, no, I'm hardly ever home anymore. I'm in nature most of the time, just walking and being out and releasing and having tranquilized energy. But then we went in lockdown and nobody could go anywhere. And then all of a sudden, everybody was in nature.
Yeah.
Everybody that normally never went into nature, everybody was in nature, and you couldn't even find peace and quiet here in nature anymore. Yeah. And that made it 10 times worse than before. And I finally discovered this woods, and I need to walk at least an hour before I'm there. But that's far enough so that you can avoid most other people, because for them that's too far. And then after an hour, you would finally find a piece of woods where you could still find peace and quiet.
Isn't that funny? Because I found a lot of people were in nature last year as well. Every time I would go to the forest, I'm like, why are there so many cars here? Why are people here? Why don't people just go do their regular thing? No one comes to nature like this much. So I found the same thing here in Toronto as well. Like every forest that I would go to, and there's a lot of different forests I would walk through, it was always packed.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, I don't know if I could find my serenity here either. But I always just would take myself off and go where the path was less traveled and find myself on a log and just sit there and just breathe in. Let's talk about nature. And it is mental health, nature, and really uplifting your spirit, because we are nature. So could we go down that path and speak about nature, since this is something that I feel close to my heart?
Yes, definitely. I love nature. When I was still coaching in person, I would always coach in nature, and I would just walk with my clients in nature for 1.5 hours. And then it feels kind of like you're walking with them along their life journey. And then you would get into very deep conversation very quickly. So that is how I use nature for my work, for instance. But for me, nature is absolutely necessary. I need to be in nature every day. I do my grounding in nature. I replenish my energy in nature. It calms me down when I am emotional or when I need to release energy, but it also inspires me. I get my best ideas while walking in nature. I often stand still and then you see me typing on my phone because I have new ideas, or I use the dictaphone on my phone because I have new ideas that come out. But I can also use it for when I feel like things have become too much. I found this beautiful spot along the river, not that far from my home. I think it's about 20 minutes by bike. And I found two perfect trees to hang my hammock between, and nobody comes there. And there are wild horses that are there and wild cows, and you're
Wow.
in your hammock in between the trees. The only thing that you're hearing is the waves from the water coming up on the beach, and you feel the sunshine and the wind, and you hear the birds, and peace and relaxation. And that's my favorite place for replenishing. I don't need long holidays or going far, far away. I can already find that so close to home, and it's a lifesaver for me.
Yeah. Nature really does replenish you guys. So if you're feeling any sort of, I want to say imbalance, because that's the word that's coming to me, but imbalance, if you're feeling confused, if you're feeling conflicted, head into nature, turn your phone, don't even bring your phone with you. Just
No.
go into nature and just you and your breath. And then the cosmic energies will really heal you. That's exactly what it is, because we are part of nature. We are trees, we are the wind, we are the sun, we are the sand, we are everything that nature represents. So this
Yes.
is where this is where I find my solace too. And yes, I do get incredible ideas in nature. It was last week or 2 weeks ago, I was guided to bring a notebook, a pen, everything with me into nature. And I'm walking, I'm like, my bag's pretty heavy. And I said, yeah, don't worry about it. It's gonna loosen up as you sit down for a second. And I ended up sitting on this log that I've never seen before. And this is deep in nature. And I start writing and writing and writing and writing. And I'm like, they said, we want you to teach this. And I said, okay. I said, this took me 15 minutes to write, but this is like a 3-month or 4-month program that you want me to teach. But nature is the best place to go. Let's talk about, there's so many things I want to talk about. Your authentic self, because that's something that just came up to me. And this is about, we're talking about, getting out of the trap of the box, really figuring out who you are, your authenticity. So how can we help people tap into their authentic self beyond that trap box and give themselves permission? And that's the word that keeps on coming, is to give yourself permission to be authentically who you are. And what does that fully mean to the individual?
Mm-hmm. Yes, giving yourself permission to be your authentic self is that you stop trying to please everybody else, and you stop trying to be the person that other people want you to be. And you start giving yourself permission to be just you.
Yeah.
Just you. And we live in a society where we are do, have, and then be. Well, we need to live in the version of being and then doing and having. So it's about just being, and that is a very difficult thing for most people, and that's where nature comes in. And nature is the perfect place to just be, and just be with your thoughts, and just be with whatever comes up, instead of running away from it, hiding from it, and not dealing with it, what I see most people do. So you need to learn how to be okay just being you, how to be okay in your own company, how to be okay by yourself, and how to take responsibility for your own happiness instead of having your happiness depend on other people, what I also see most people do. So that's the first step in giving yourself permission to just be you, to just be yourself. And then you need to discover, who am I? Because I didn't know. I came out of a 7-year relationship, and I didn't even know what my hobbies were anymore. I didn't even know what music I liked. I had so assimilated myself to him and took over his hobbies and his interests that I totally lost track of my own, if they were even my own to begin with, because I had been wearing masks for so long, pretending to be someone I definitely was not. That I am not even sure if what I thought were my hobbies and my music tastes that were actually mine. So it starts with being yourself, and then just discovering, what is your user manual? What makes you you? What makes you tick? And what is involved in that? So I don't like boxes, I don't like labels, but finding out that I'm a highly sensitive person, for me, that is not a label. It's also not a box. It was an insight into my own user manual. It explained a lot of things about myself that I just didn't understand before. Also things that I was ashamed of because I didn't understand them, and most other people also didn't understand them. And it's about getting to know what your talents are, what your gifts are, what your capacities are, what makes you unique from everybody else. And instead of trying to hide it, finding that you can be proud of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That to me is just stepping into your authenticity, being your authentic self, and just discovering your true self, your spiritual self, everything that makes you you. Because besides being a highly sensitive person, if we talk in labels and boxes, I'm also an empath. I'm also highly intuitive. I'm highly gifted. I'm an extroverted introvert, but I'm also an ambivert. And I'm a high sensation seeker. So, and these are just a couple of examples. I could go on. Light worker, dark worker. These are all names or labels that could fit me, but I'm not one of them. I'm all of them combined. So finding all of those elements that make you you, that's how you get to be in your authentic self.
I love that you said you don't like labels. I'm not a fan of labels. And I remember people saying to me, Zach, what do you do for a living? And I said, oh, I just talk to energy. I talk to air and I help women thrive. And they're like, what do you mean? Like, what is that? Is it this? I'm like, no, I don't belong in a box because I do a lot of different things. And I remember, it's so funny that you say this. I've never had anyone say they don't like labels. This is the most interesting thing. And I remember saying to Spirit, like, who am I? And this is a question I asked myself for 7 years. Who am I? Who am I? Who am I? And I would learn a little bit about myself and I would say, who am I? And all the things I learned about myself were really scary to say the least, because then I realized you are powerful beyond what you know in your consciousness, because your subconscious mind knows a lot. So exactly what you said, I could say that I'm this worker and a dark light worker, a light worker, whatever you want to call those. I don't even know half of the labels anymore. So I said to Spirit, give me something that I could use. So when people say to me, like, what do you do? I could give it to them. And one day it was in the middle, I was sleeping. I heard, you're a galactic elder master keyhole 12-strand activator. I'm like, what?
Can you repeat it slower?
So I was like, what does that even mean?
Yes.
And they said, it's just you. So I adopted those titles because I thought they were interesting and they're conversation starters.
Yes, most definitely.
A galactic elder master key holder. And I'm just like, so I went to my spiritual teacher. I'm like, Lama? He said, yeah. I said, what does this mean? He started laughing. He goes, you have no idea, do you? And I go, not a clue. He goes, that's what I love about you. He goes, you just do without even realizing that you do. And then they give you these titles or they tell you what to do. And you're just like, I don't think I know how to do that. Meanwhile, you're doing it already.
Yes.
So, and that's what I like to say. Like, I want to go down the who am I path. Did you go through learning who you were? Obviously, we take years to figure out who we are, because this is not like, asking yourself the morning question, who am I? And then by evening, you have, the 12-page analysis of your manual.
Probably not even at the end of the year.
Yeah, 24 years in the making and 7 years of totally studying my past lives, who I was. So what was your process of figuring out who am I?
Well, for me, it took ending up in a severe burnout to be confronted with that the way I was going was just not working. And then you need to be brutally honest with yourself. And that's not very easy and it's not very pleasant. Yeah. And I had to admit that I didn't know anymore. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I wanted. I didn't know what I liked. I didn't know. Yeah. And admitting that is scary.
Yes.
Because I always liked control and being in control, and admitting that you do not know anything is just having no control whatsoever. And that was just very, very scary. And I'm forever grateful to my boss that called me an HSP without even knowing what that would mean to me, because that started me onto my journey of self-discovery. Wow. So I decided I needed to find out if he was calling me a name and what name he was calling me. And that was why I started Googling HSP. And then I discovered that HSP is a highly sensitive person. And I started to read about high sensitivity, and I started to read about highly sensitive people, and I bought books about the subject, and I became a member of fora, and then I would read other people's stories, and all of a sudden it just hit me. I think I'm not weird, I'm not strange. There are more people out there like me. I am a highly sensitive person. And I thought that that was it. But I soon discovered that that was just the beginning. That was just a little part of who I am, because even within the highly sensitive community, I'm still weird,
Right?
strange.
Yeah.
Yes. And I used to think that that was a bad thing. I actually now have fully embraced being weird and strange, and I love it. I remember I was a member of a dating site, and it asked me, "What are you? What do you want to be, or what are you? I am normal, or I am weird." And I checked the "I am weird" box because
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want to be normal anymore. And it took quite some time to discover that. And you're right, it's a process. I'm still discovering who I am, and it's been 10 years. And every time you get one step closer, I like to use the analogy of an onion. We
Mm.
are like an onion, and every time I get to peel back another layer of what makes me me. And that means also that I need to deal with stuff on a certain level every time. And I have a lot of people that tell me, but I already dealt with that, so why is it coming back? Why am I again angry about it, or why am I again sad about it, or why is it again influencing my life in a way I don't want to? And then I tell them, congratulations, you've reached another layer of your onion.
Mhm.
It depends on what you encountered, what you experienced, and how deep that went. So I had a very rough childhood, and I was abused by my father, and that started on a very young age. So that came up multiple times in these 10 years of self discovery, but every time in a different way, and every time on a deeper level. So a deeper layer of my onion. And that's because it was highly impactful, and it happened on a very young age. So then every time you peel back a layer, you will be confronted with a different energetic signature of the event on a deeper layer, and being asked to release it there also.
Yeah.
So that's how things can come back, even though you thought you dealt with it. You did deal with it on this level, but now you're on this level. So you get to do it over again. And also, that's not always something that you are jumping for joy with, but it's part of who you are. And the more of these layers that you peel back, the more you come to your authentic core, and the less you start to care about what other people say and what other people think, and the more you will care about what you think and
Yeah.
what you say and how you feel. Because in the end, that's the most important thing. People can tell you, "Oh, you're ugly and I hate you and you have a horrible voice and I don't like listening to you and what you're saying is rubbish." And that might hurt especially on a superficial level. But if you've done the work, and if you know that you come from a place of love, and everything you're saying is meant to heal people or to help people, and you go out of your own way to help old ladies cross the street, for instance, or rescue your neighbor's cat from a tree if you're able to, or those types of things, and you just know, I am a good person, I'm a beautiful person, I'm a lovable person, then it doesn't really matter what somebody else says.
Mhm. Yeah, that external validation's killer to the soul. So I totally get it. I like that you use the onion analogy because I use that as well. But I always tell people you might be peeling off the thick layers of an onion, but I want you to be aware that there's this thin layer of onion that you can't really see. And
Yes,
that thin layer of the onion is what makes you tear up even more. Because I know when we go through that layer of the onion, and this is like just peeling and peeling and peeling, you're wondering what's going on. Why, like, I thought I dealt with this before. Yeah, but there's another layer of that until it's fully dealt with. Or maybe you have to go through another layer of that. And I always say, getting to know your true self can be one ugly process, but yet it's such a beautiful ending.
yes,
It's like
most
putting that seed in the soil, which you're the seed, and you keep on watering yourself, and a beautiful blossom of flower shows up.
yes.
So, for anyone that's going through a spiritual awakening at this present moment, what advice can you give them?
the most important advice is to be kind to yourself.
Mhm.
Especially we highly sensitive people, empath people, we tend to raise the bar really high and then mainly for ourselves. So things we would accept from other people, we definitely do not accept from ourselves. And this could be like you had plans to go for drinks in a cafe with your friends, but you're not feeling well. You're having a headache and you're tired, and all you really want is to either go to bed or to just put on your comfy clothes, make a big pot of tea, and use your blankie on the couch to watch some soapy or silly movie or something, or read a good book.
Mhm.
But you had made an agreement with your friends. You promised to be there. So then you push yourself to go because you don't feel like you can cancel. While if the roles were reversed and you were one of the friends and you had a friend call you and say, I know we were supposed to go out tonight and I was really looking forward to it, but I feel horrible. I have a headache and I just want to stay in tonight and go to bed early. Then I would say, I'm so glad you told me. Have a really great evening. Do you want me to check in on you later or not? And otherwise, we will catch up next time.
Mhm.
But for some reason, we find it very difficult to stand up for ourselves in that manner and to take really good care of ourselves because somewhere along the lines, we have combined taking really good care of yourself to being egoistical or being
Mhm.
selfish. And
Mhm.
that is something we perceive as very negative, while taking really good care of yourself to me is mandatory. So that's why my advice, be kind to yourself. Good is good enough. And if you're not feeling great, then just say, I feel bad about this, but I really need to stay in tonight if that's how you're feeling. And just mention how you're feeling, but stick up for yourself, be kind to yourself, love yourself, give yourself that night in with your blankie on the couch, or give yourself the pleasure of going to bed early, snuggling in your blanket, and then maybe waking up feeling much better the next morning. So be kind to yourself is my first advice. And my second advice would be to find someone that you resonate with to help you go through this,
Mhm.
especially if you are either alone or you feel like you do not have people around you that you can talk to about these kinds of things. There
Mhm.
are other people out there, even free resources, free groups that you can join to get support and to connect with people. And if you're really serious of, I'm sick and tired of always being sick and tired, and now is the time for me to step out of this because I don't want to feel 1 second longer like, oh, I don't want to live anymore, or some version of what you're feeling. Then my best advice would be to actually find someone like you or like me to help you with the steps that you need to take in order to feel happy and relaxed in your own skin again. And that's also
Absolutely.
being kind to yourself, by the way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Great advice there. What does self-love mean to you?
Self-love to me means that I do not push myself to things that don't feel good.
Mhm.
If I wake up in the morning and even though I might have a lot of appointments planned, but I wake up and I'm just feeling, ugh,
Mhm.
then self-love means that I acknowledge feeling ugh, and that I see, is there something I can do before I have my appointments to turn things around? Like maybe going for a walk in nature, depending on how ugh I'm feeling.
Yeah.
And if I have a fever or if I'm just really in a very ugh mood, then it could be that I just cancel my appointments and that I say, yeah, I'm very sorry, but I'm not feeling really well. Could we reschedule for another moment? And
Mhm.
that's self-love. And then doing what I feel I need to. So it could be that I think I'm just going back to bed. I don't want to face the world today. I'm just going back to bed and I either sleep or read or watch something on the iPad or something. Or it could be that I think, oh no, I need to go to the river with my hammock and just be without anybody around me and has have a lot of sun and then replenish my energy in that way. Those are also forms of self-love.
What would you say to the woman that says, well, I can't stay in bed. I have kids to do. I got a job to go to. So if I'm feeling that blah feeling, I can't really stay in bed. What would you say to that woman? How would she give herself some self-love to honor her emotions?
Well, it could very well be that you cannot stay in your own bed with kids if you stay in your own house. But there are beds in other places. You could rent a cheap hotel room, for instance, or a bed and breakfast and stay in that bed all day and call in sick at work and also not have to deal with your children. And if that is not an option, then there are options like finding someone to take care of the kids. Maybe they can go to your sister or your mom or your brother-in-law or a friend that would like to take them to the park. You can even say, I will pay tickets if you take them to the zoo.
Yes.
Most people think bears on the road instead of possibilities,
Yes.
solutions for the bears.
Yes, yes. And that's why I asked you that question, because I know I could hear it in people's voice already. Well, I don't have the luxury of staying in bed all day. And I've heard that before. But people don't realize that there's so many options out there and solutions out there that you can stay in bed. It's like one thing that I do suggest for people that have kids is rent a hotel for a night. Really just go pamper yourself, whatever that looks like to you. If it's to sit and eat popcorn or eat or just hang out, watch a movie, take a nice bubble bath, go to the gym there. It's really about honoring yourself away from it. That's why I asked you that question, because I could hear it in my head going, well, I don't have that pleasure of doing that. That's just,
But that's a limiting belief. A lot of people
Yes.
are burdened with limiting beliefs. And that's the immediate response that comes. So we have limiting beliefs and we have autopilot programs, and saying, oh, but I don't have that luxury is both an autopilot program as well as a limiting belief. And yeah, it may be in the way that you're thinking you're correct, but there are so many other solutions and possibilities out there, including a huge load of them that you do not even know about. That you need to open yourself up to possibilities and think in possibilities instead of problems.
Yes, I love that. I love the way you said that. Think in possibilities and not in problems. That is a total tweetable right there. Think in possibilities and not in problems. Tweet that one out. So what would you tell your younger self today?
I would tell my younger self today to find the beauty in yourself, to not try to please everybody, because it will not bring you what you're looking for. And instead just, well, maybe then you are alone for some time, but just be quirky. I can have this huge amount of admiration when I see a goth girl come by. Not that I am goth, but I think, oh, you are so incredibly yourself. Awesome, Or I see somebody with multicolored hair, or sometimes I see people with like a hippie outfit, or non-standard ways of expressing themselves, and I think, you go girl, or you go guy, because I love the way that you express your individuality. And that would be my advice to myself. Find your own individuality and express it, and trust that the right people will come to you if you are just who you are.
Amen to that, sister. Amen to that. Fully express your inner child, to just be who you are, and the right people will come to you. Another tweetable. Be who you are. That's such a tweetable too. Before we go, what is your favorite affirmation or mantra that you tell yourself when you're in a rut?
Oh, well, that is a very good question. The rule I live by is do more of what makes you happy. So when I am in a rut, I try to do more of what makes me happy. And in the beginning, that would make me feel guilty, because I thought, yeah, but I have appointments, I have responsibilities, I had made promises, or I have clients that depend on me. I cannot just go to the sauna or have a spa day. And now I think, why not? If you're feeling incredibly blah, then going to the spa, if that makes you feel again, is the best course of action. So do more of what makes you happy is a good one. And otherwise it would be something. I like to do the I am alphabet. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
No, let us know about that one.
The I am alphabet is where I do affirmations according to the alphabet. So it goes something like this. I am abundant. I'm beautiful. I'm creative. I'm determined. I'm enough. I am grateful. I am happy. I am faith. I am joyful. I am love. I am money. I am nature. I am optimistic. I am prosperous. I am quality. I am resourceful. I am thankful. I am unique. I'm vibrant. I'm wealthy. I'm young. I'm extraordinary. And I'm Zen.
Wow, that is incredible. I've never heard of that, but I'll definitely do that. And you just said it's so easy, so fluid, so flowing.
Practice.
Yeah.
In the beginning, I need to look up options, but I do it every day. So
That is
then,
beautiful.
and not, most of the days it's the same. Sometimes some words change. Sometimes when I'm really going at it, I try to think of as much words as with an A as possible. Like I am abundant, I am ambitious, I am aligned, I am attractive, and I just go until I cannot think of an A word anymore, and then I switch to B.
That's a great practice to have, especially if you're just just coming into the spiritual practice. And affirmations, mantras are very powerful to rewire your mindset, to step into your authentic self. But to do the I am alphabet, that's incredible. Thank you for sharing that. That's really amazing.
You're welcome.
So there's something that came up, and I know we're cutting it short right now, but there's something that came up when you spoke earlier, and it says, do more of what makes you happy. But you also threw something in there that guilt shows up sometimes, or showed up for you previously. Yes. And I know when people start taking care of themselves in that place of self-love and that place of replenishing their soul, they do go through a guilt process. How does one heal through a guilt process of do more of what you like or what you love?
Now, that's a very good question. Yeah, if we take the example of your previous question, I don't have the luxury of staying in. And my answer was, well, you could rent a room in a hotel and stay in that bed all day. And then you might feel guilty because you are not there for your children, or maybe you're leaving your husband to take care of the children in the household and you feel guilty about that, or you feel guilty towards your work because you're calling in sick, but you're not even at home, you're in a hotel, and maybe you're enjoying the spa or the gym there, and you feel even more guilty. It's a very plausible scenario, right?
Yeah.
So how do you deal with that guilt? And I find that a sentence that really helped me is, when I say no to others, I say yes to myself.
Ooh, ooh, I felt that one in my core.
Right?
Love, that's another tweetable. I say no to others and say yes to myself. That's another tweetable right there. We've had a lot of tweetables. It's amazing.
If you do not take that day for yourself and spend that day in that hotel in bed, what happens? You are already not feeling okay. You're already lacking energy. Your children are starting to whine. They want your attention. Stuff is not going the way you want it to at home. Maybe something falls, or you burn your dinner. And at your job, you drop the ball on a major project and your boss becomes angry. And how does that make you feel at the end of the day? And then how do you feel the next morning? Well, if you take that time for yourself and you do check into that hotel and you maybe sleep half a day and the other half a day you pamper yourself in the spa, or you go to the sauna, or you just watch pay-per-view or Netflix until you fall asleep again. And at the end of the day, you feel like, oh God, I can breathe again. I have energy again. And then you go home and you can be a good parent to your children. You can be a good partner to your partner, and you maybe cook a fabulous dinner, or maybe you will come back the next day and feeling energized and bettering your skin, and then you can do something nice for your family or with your family. Which one would you prefer?
What a beautiful answer that was. Take that time to do more of what you love and say no to others, to say yes to yourself. Because at the end of the day, if you're not replenished, you cannot fuel another person from an empty tank.
No, you cannot pour from an empty cup. And the only time when we just accept that is when we actually get on a plane, because then the stewardess, she explains what you need to do and what will happen when the plane goes down, right? And then the oxygen masks drop and they tell you, you need to put on your own oxygen mask first before you start helping other people. Now, why do they tell you that? They tell you that because if you cannot breathe, you will die, and then you cannot help somebody else. So you first need to make sure that you can breathe, and then you can help other people. And that's what saying yes to yourself is about, making sure that you are in your right energy, in your right mind, not overwhelmed by emotions, not hanging on by the skin of your teeth, and maybe drowning in your life. You need to make sure that you are okay emotionally, energetically, so that you can be there for your children or your family or your partner or your clients or your sick mom, whatever.
I love that you use a flight attendant analogy, because I was a flight attendant previously. And I remember doing that, safety recording that we had to do. And that's when I had this aha moment one day when I was doing it. And I was like, it just becomes robotic as a flight attendant, because you're doing it every flight, twice on a flight. And I had this aha moment: take care of yourself before you take care of another. And I remember, like, as I'm donning my mask on to show how to do it, that aha moment came to me. But it's interesting because it came to me many years ago, but it took me many years to put that practice into place.
Yes.
So
yes.
we learn something, we might not put it into place right away, but when we put it into place, it's like we just filled our body up with so much oxygen. So I always love that analogy, because I was a flight attendant.
Yes, so then you immediately get it.
Thank you so much for being on the podcast and dropping all these incredible nuggets for people to rise up to their spiritual senses and really step into their truth and their authenticness and really harness that inner power that they have. Thank you so much for all your wisdom and your stories that you brought to us today.
Oh, you're very welcome, Zach, and thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed our talk tonight, and I hope that it resonates for people and that they find in it what they needed to hear.
Absolutely. I know it's going to resonate with many people, because we're put on this podcast together to bring that light to everyone that needs to hear it. So the right people will definitely hear it. Yes. Everyone, if you want to get a hold of Barbara, all of her information is going to be in the show notes below. All her social handles are going to be in the show notes below. If you want to get a hold of her, again, look in the show notes below. Also, if you want to be part of the Empress Hangout, the link is in the bio as well, in the show notes below. That's our private Facebook group where we carry on the conversation over there, and as well join us on Instagram. Until we connect again, have yourself a beautiful, blessed day. And remember to step into your power, say no to others, and definitely say yes to yourself. Bye for now.